let's talk about American history, and not just any type of American history, forgotten American history. Forgotten American history is a key to this country's recovery, in a way. I'll explain what I mean by that later in the video. Let's get to the fact number one. Now, this is what people say about America. America was not found on Christianity or Christian values. That's a half truth. Now, true, America was not found on the Christian religion. However, it was founded on Christian values, because you have to remember, around the 1700s, now religious persecution was happening in England around this time, and our founding fathers and the other immigrants that came along with them from England wanted to get away from this religious persecution. Now, what is this religious persecution I'm talking about? Well, if you lived in England during this time, there was only one particular church that everybody went to, and that was the Church of England. And still today, it still has a lot of followers. Now, the Church of England is a huge church. The religion, the majority of the people who are part of that particular Christian religion, English Christian religion, is phenomenally amazing. Now, if you look at Christianity, the way we know it, Roman Christianity, now this was known as an underground religion. During this time particularly, this was an underground religion because it had ideals that weren't accepted by the Church of England. And more specifically, we're talking about Easter, Palm Sunday, specific events like that. They weren't accepted by the Church of England. And you had our founding fathers that wanted to leave England due to the taxation as well. Religious persecution and taxation. Now they come over here, and it's true, they locked themselves in Philadelphia for 4 days, coming up with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Now, let's talk about why the United States was founded on Christian values and not the Christian religion. Why Christian values? Well, freedom to practice religion, religious freedom. Now this is a big key, religious freedom. Now, this is in the Bill of Rights. Now, why is religious freedom important? Well, religious freedom is important because at the time, the people that came over were strictly Roman Catholic. Roman Catholic. There was no other form of Christianity during the time, Roman Catholic, and this is why it was underground religion in England. So, you had these Roman Catholic founding fathers writing up this Declaration of Independence, and more specifically, Constitution, which ratifies the difference between church and state. But church at the time was more important, was just as important as state was. Because during that time, the only person who was a founding father that I would say is closely, which is close to as agnostic as you could get, is Ben Franklin. Because Benjamin Franklin was one of the founding fathers that didn't like the fact that God or divine intervention was constantly talked about all the time. And Benjamin Franklin proved multiple times that science was triumphant in almost everything. So Benjamin Franklin is making this case that science has to be taught in America, not just religion. So, okay, now science is a recognized thing as well as religion at this point, but science is one of these other underground things here in America at the time. But what was not an underground thing? Freemasonry. And this is why I say the forgotten fact that America was founded on Christian values is forgotten, because Freemasonry, if you look at its symbol, it has a compass, which is a circle and then two pointy things, and then you have a ruler, which creates a symbol, like a triangle symbol, and it has a G in front of there. Now that G doesn't mean George Washington, that G means God. Now, one of the most notable Freemasons that this country ever had was George Washington, and others were Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, James Madison, Andrew Jackson, and FDR, Harry Houdini. I could go on, all from different time periods, but you get the point. Freemasonry was popular. This was kind of like its a secret society where politics, religion, and philosophy were talked about. I mean, the Freemasons will accept anybody today who's willing to take in their hokey pokey thing. But the key thing with Freemasonry is that you have to believe in something. It could be science, it could be Allah, it could be the balloon monster. I mean, you have to accept anything as truth. It doesn't have to necessarily be the Christian God anymore. So, that's a forgotten fact, is the fact that America was founded on Christian values. And another thing to point that out, to prove to you that this country was founded on Christian values and not the Christian religion. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Andrew Jackson, and James Monroe. Keep these four guys in mind. Now, they didn't like Christianity as an organized religion because they thought it would get corrupt. They thought it would get corrupted very fast and that people would turn away from it. Their prediction was right, and they made this prediction back in the 1700s. Now, Thomas Jefferson rewrote the Bible, more specifically the New Testament, and it was basically all the quotes that Jesus ever said, but he took out the hocus pocus miracles and all that. And so, John Adams is another key thing. John Adams didn't like the Christianity as organized religion because John Adams believing in Christ as a faith and not a religion was more moral than having it as a religion, because religion is like politics, and when it gets in the wrong hands, it screws over everyone except for the people it benefits, and that is the priest. And he was right. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was this country's first libertarian ever. Andrew Jackson hated government in Americans' lifestyle choices, and he also hated government in economics. So, what do I mean by government and economics now? The banks. Andrew Jackson hated the big banks. He hated them worse than anything. Now, next to the big banks, he didn't like Christianity as a religion. Once again, like John Adams, he thought it as a faith, it benefited people very well, but as a religion, it would be like a big bank, where they would ask for money and never use it for the people that it should be used on. And he was right. And James Monroe. And the reason why he didn't like Christianity as a religion, but he liked it as a faith, was because as a faith, he thought Christianity was like a guidebook to life. Like, if you didn't know where to go, you could just pray, and then the answer would be in front of you. But he didn't like it as a religion, because as a religion, James Monroe thought that it would get the United States in a civil war with itself. Now, that was a little bit shady for him to say, but the United States did get we did get ourselves in the Civil War, but it wasn't over Christianity. But with this being said, these four guys did not like Christianity as a religion whatsoever, but they liked it as a faith. So for anyone who says that Christianity values are not implied to the United States, you are misled. I have no idea what you're reading. I have no idea where you're getting your history from. But if you look at America's history, the forgotten part about it is that it was founded on Christian values. Not the religion, but it was founded on the values. I'm Michael DePrima. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned some American history.